Ready? Alrighty. We will call the meeting for May 2nd, regular Planning Commission of Armada to order at 7 o'clock. All rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Melky? Here. Henderson here. Shaw absent. Grand?
Here.
Rumble? Here. Patterson?
Here. Is it Shaw or Shaw?
Shaw.
Two L's. A-L-L.
Okay.
And make sure you put the right spelling in your spell checker.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to look over tonight's agenda? We good with it?
Well, weren't we gonna not do B?
You could do that.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'm sorry, we were or we
We are
were
going
not?
to
We're gonna do-
remove section
7B.
7B for 4 and 5 because we didn't get them back from the planner yet anyway.
So I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended with the removal of section 7B.
I'll second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And meeting minutes from April 6th. Nobody sees any changes with that. I'll need a motion for those as well.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the April 6, 2022 Planning Commission as presented.
Second?
You cannot.
As I was not
You're
there.
not at the
Sorry.
Actually, that would be me. Second.
Okay. Those in favor with Sarah abstaining.
She could,
Yeah, I think I have to.
she can't make a motion, she can't vote, she can make a motion.
How can she attest to the validity?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comment.
Public's good. I said, no, look at her, she'll say something.
I know it. Okay, then, for zoning ordinance review, we did get back Articles 1 and 2 from the planners. These should be, as long as everybody's looked over, doesn't see anything, ready for the book. Anybody got anything?
I do have one question on what I did read. Of course I did. Reoccupancy.
Mhm.
Didn't we ask them to put something in here, or are they only gonna put it in definition?
I had thought we were saying in definition.
Only in the definition?
That's-
That was one of my questions as well.
Because we had asked them to define the length of time of it being absent,
Right.
vacant.
Well, looks like we actually didn't state anything. We just said to define term of reoccupancy. So we will have to make sure that that is put in the definitions.
I also had a note that we wanted to clarify vacancy so that then we could know what reoccupancy
Under
was.
the same part, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, those kind of go together.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry. Is everybody familiar with Mike Shaw? He is our council liaison. Mike, we're just kind of doing some review right now.
Keep them in my paper if you want.
Okay.
All right, so we got those two. We'll make sure that those are put in the definitions to explain them clearly.
This is our final review from the planner, we're just going through it.
Okay.
So I have a question on who is going, there's a lot of references to section 10.4 and 18 and all this stuff. After it's all done, they're gonna go through and make sure all those references are
Right.
in.
Stay the same,
Stay,
correct.
right, work with each other.
Okay. Are you gonna go page by page like you did before, or?
With these ones, we've already done that one, so if you wanna just go through, if you found anything, if anybody wants to do it that way. But I mean, we've gone over these twice already, so this is just pretty much our final draft.
Right, I had
Okay.
a couple of things. On section 1.07, there's extra spaces in, is that the kind of thing you want? Like
Extra spaces where?
building inspector, carry out duties, it looks like in between the carry out duties, they may have taken something out and there's an extra space there.
Which part of 1.07?
Pardon me?
Which part of 1.07?
The second line on the first paragraph, to carry out duties, it looks like there's
Oh,
more.
I see. Okay.
Sometimes there is a marginizing editing where you ask something to spread the width of a column and it will actually add extra spaces, but it's in order to make up the sides. Sometimes newspaper articles are just, have you ever seen big wide spaces
Yes,
in
right,
newspaper articles?
yes, left it.
I'm wondering if it's something like that because it doesn't seem intentional.
I don't think so. The other thing I noticed is that I think the standard nowadays is one space between sentences, and some they have one and some they have two. So I don't,
Could be the same issue, but it's a good point, right?
we already talked about that one. On section 1.12, under A, general public hearing procedures, second sentence, looks like they left out some words. So it says zoning ordinance text and map amendments, special approval land uses and other. I think they need to say zoning ordinance text, comma, map amendments, comma, as well as special approval land uses. I think they left out.
Where are you at? I'm sorry.
On section 1.12, A.
Well, text
Second
and map are
sentence.
both amendments, so those are listed as one item in the list. In a list, you would
Zoning
have text and map amendments, item 1, special approval land uses, item 2, comma, and other zoning procedures as the third item in a 3-item list.
So,
I take text and map.
Couldn't you do an ordinance text amendment and not separate from a map amendment?
Right, I'm just taking that as item 1 in a list, that whole first line. Like
Well,
zoning
so they
ordinance,
need
text and map.
as well as special approval. That was what was on my draft, and it's not in this copy. So, I mean, if that makes sense to everybody, it's fine.
Does it change the way it's interpreted in any way?
It's awkward to read. Zoning ordinance, text and map amendments, special approval land uses and other zoning procedures calling for public hearings are subject to the additional procedures described in.
So what do you want it to say?
I thought it was supposed to say as well as special, it doesn't have to.
It's important if it changes the meaning of or sentiment of the
Well,
statement.
no, it says what it's supposed to say. I'm just, I'm trying to hear what Sam wants it to say.
The first couple times I read it, it didn't make sense to me. It seemed like something was general public hearing procedure, period. The following procedures are applicable to all public hearings, period. Zoning ordinance, text, and map amendments.
Well, because it's.
Special approval land use and other zoning procedures calling for a public hearing.
It's zoning ordinance text amendments and zoning ordinance map amendments. It's just, they didn't want to write all those words. So that's why they worded it the way it is. All text amendments aren't automatically tied to a map, you're right, and that's not what it's saying. They're just trying to not make it so wordy.
Right. It's a very long sentence. It's hard to figure out.
Right, but somebody who teaches grammar frequently, it's when you're gonna list line by line items, that's how you do it, even if it's a double up, because they both refer to amendments, they belong in the same comma or list separating feature in a paragraph.
Okay. The other one on section 1.15, enforcement, in the second line, it says the building inspector shall investigate, and we wanted that changed to code enforcer.
On the second line. Yep, you're right, we did.
They did it in the, or was it
In the
always
next
that
one.
way in
No.
that?
And then in B, the first line in B, it should say code enforcer also.
Yeah, they changed it in A but didn't change it anywhere else.
And they also have circuit court, it should just be court.
That's correct. And there's another one in C, 1.16, it says building inspector and police officers should say code enforcer.
So that's why we do these things.
Yeah, and that does effectually change the meaning of that, so that's an important catch. Good job.
Okay, anybody else with Article 1?
So I'm presuming we're gonna re-review this in June?
I'll make notes of what those are, and then, yes, well, they should be able to make those changes and get it back to us.
Okay,
And then make sure that the ones we just mentioned are fixed.
okay.
Okay, move on to Article 2. Anybody got anything there they've spotted?
I do.
Go ahead, Sam, start us off.
On section 2.104, on the third paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth line, the welfare of the city's residents, should probably be villages residents.
Good job, City.
And then the section right below it, the header is not lined up with the other headlines. The office, should be indented a little more to be consistent with the rest of them. That's all I got.
Anybody else? Okay, then with those changes, we are good on 1 and 2. We'll hopefully get these back in June. We are hoping to also have sections 4, 5, and 6 and 7 back from them for the June meeting. So we will have quite a bit of review to
I
do.
plan on 4 and 5, but I didn't
Yeah,
send them
well,
6 and
I'd like to
7
see
yet.
6 and 7 too.
I didn't send that to them, so don't count on it.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else with anything for review? Public comment?
Wait, forgot reports.
No, it's down further. Oh, I'm back up, I jumped up, okay. Reports.
Okay, I had a resident call and ask about the village policy with regards to beekeeping.
Oh boy.
Yes. I did my best to look and I saw nothing in our ordinance specifically
I didn't
designed
see
for
anything in there.
beekeeping, even as a hobby
Right. I couldn't
or
find
as
anything.
a farm stand selling the honey kind of thing. So as you can see, I reached out to the planner.
Okay.
And his answer says, for better or worse, your ordinance doesn't address beekeeping at all.
Mm-hmm.
But technically, section 2.202 that you just went over,
Yeah.
because it wasn't mentioned, it is considered prohibited. Now, this other package that I gave you Yeah, his next sentence says, it has regulatory protection under Michigan's agricultural best practices. And he gave me a link, and he says, the part about bees begins on page 95, whatever. That's what the other stuff that I printed for you is. There's quite some information in here, guidelines as far as distances, lot sizes, if the lots are this size, you know, they shouldn't have more than this, but even if they have them, they should be located here and here and here and here. So I have let the resident know that it's still something that's being looked into.
And in the village resident?
And in the village resident, her husband was given a bead box as a birthday present.
Gotcha. Is there any larger governing ordinance, say in Macomb County, that would help give us guidance?
This is state regulations. That you're-
Okay, so it's state, this is not ours.
This says,
this is-
yeah, it's
But even-
regulatory protection, correct.
Just wondering if more specific, like Macomb County specifically might have.
This is the state of Michigan that does govern what
County
they can have. I haven't checked the county.
You know, just as another resource for like,
Um,
hey, in Macomb County, we have these guidelines.
And truly, you could leave it as is and keep it a prohibited, because it's not addressed.
Yeah.
Once you go through and read the state's guidelines, there aren't a whole lot of places that are gonna truly be able to, you know,
Right.
the average homeowner in the subdivision is not going to be able to have the space to accommodate most of these
Gotcha.
requirements or suggestions. But because it was brought to my attention by a village resident, and this is the board that would deal with it,
Gotcha.
whether you decide that it's not something the board wants to put in, because in general it's the health, safety, and welfare of all the neighboring whatever you want to decide. But I'll check in and see if Macomb County has anything specifically. And if I can find something, or if I can get the Macomb Economic and Planning, blah, 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 to send me something, I'll forward it to you, but it's something you guys need to consider. And like I said, again, we can do nothing, and it's prohibited.
Right. Right.
Would the village fall in the agricultural statute?
In agricultural what?
The entire, yeah, like is the village of Armada within an agricultural district of Macomb County regardless, making beekeeping more likely to be
Well,
favorable?
agricultural is more out into the townships.
Yeah, is a village, I
But
don't
they
know,
have
but
things here for less than a quarter.
Right.
They have
It's
things here
lot
for less than a
sizes
quarter.
and-
under
acre.
1,800 residents though, I know what
Right.
you're not wrong about thinking that could
But
apply here.
They even have under a quarter acre, under, you know,
Right.
Up to a quarter acre.
yeah,
50 by
so,
215 feet.
so, I mean, they can't be assuming everybody's got a lot of space. So,
Well,
again, we don't have something, we can leave it as is. We don't have to amend our ordinances to specifically agree or
Just one
disagree.
person.
It's just not listed as an approved.
It's not listed, and a lot of
Yes, we
people are doing more natural things, and me, I'm not gonna keep a bee, but that's me. You know, that's not to say, and I know a lot of people would rather not have their neighbors keeping bees, which is something you need to consider.
They can be a hazard to small animals, small children.
Children.
they swarm.
Enough bees
Sometimes the colonies
can,
move.
Well, and that's,
they can get, improperly kept and in too confined an area, they can get disoriented and swarm people and
Yeah.
animals.
well, and that's it, they even they address that in here about how you have to kind of guide them so they only go from the street to their hive kind of thing, whether it's, you know, with the
Responsible
fence
beekeeping is a
or,
lot, yeah.
it is a lot. So, and you could just as easily decide that in the best interest, you know, I've read all this, and that would be a lot for anybody to monitor. So who's our code enforcer's going to monitor? What's he going to be there at dusk every night to see if the bees are flying at a straight line? You know, so that's what you could decide. I'm just saying it's things that
Right.
need to be considered because a resident asked.
Now, it's my read that these are all recommendations, these are not actual.
Correct, they're actual guidelines. I didn't print the whole 130-page link
Okay.
that he sent me. I can forward everybody the email and you can read the rest of it if you want, but,
If you've got a link there, they can bring it up.
correct.
Okay. So, let's review that as well, go over it. If you find any other information, as we're doing our reviews next month, we'll make a decision on whether that's something that needs to be added. It'll be a vote as well.
So we're just deciding if we want to specifically address beekeeping, we do not have to handle this specific situation at this time.
No, not right at the moment.
Well,
We
and
need to
truly,
get a
it would
little more
end up
information.
falling under one of our sections, keeping of animals or whatever, something.
Right,
It would
we're
fall
covered
under- It would fall
either
under
way.
one of those other sections. It would just help me also, and I'll call the resident tomorrow and tell her it was brought up to the, planning commission at the meeting, and it's still an ongoing discussion.
Right.
But it just helps. I did call her, because she's called a couple weeks ago, and I said, it's still being looked into. I didn't forget about you, but, please don't set it up yet. She said, oh, no, we'll wait, so.
Yeah, it's a hard thing, somebody wants to do something.
And if you guys
Yeah.
decide that you want to do it and address it later on, that's what I'm going to tell her. Well, they've decided we're going to continue the discussion and we'll be getting to it in 3 months or whatever it might be. So,
Yeah.
just.
Okay, so Becky's got that website there if anybody wants to read that full thing. If you find anything else online, Sarah, you mentioned Macomb County, if you want to take a look
Yeah,
and
I
see if
can.
there's anything. With that, we will go over and be a little bit more informed on what we're talking about in June's meeting. Anybody else with anything for reports? No? Okay, then for June, we need, again, review Article 8. We will have a couple of things on our agenda, so I don't want to overload us with reading. And we will hope to see at least 4 and 5 from the planner, maybe 6 and 7. Read up on the bee stuff, be informed. Let's have a discussion about it next month. And next month's meeting is June 6th, 7 o'clock. With all that being said, anything else? Okay, we'll need that motion.
Make a motion to adjourn, 7:24.
I can second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are out.
Thank you.